Hey, hey! Welcome to the HVAC Diaries. Today is Saturday, June 17th, and this is my weekly HVAC vlog. Do you guys love my shirt? It's such a bright color. I freaking love it. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, how are you guys? Did you have a good week? This week was not as exciting as last week, but I still have some good stories for you. And I think my favorite job from this week was repairing a water source heat pump unit. And if you've been watching this vlog for a while, you've seen us replace a number of water source heat pump units at this location. And the reason that we usually replace them is because they've all been R22 units. They've used a refrigerant called R22. And if you're not in the industry, R22 has been phased out for a number of years. In fact, they stopped manufacturing it completely in January of 2020. So as of 3.5 years ago, they're no longer manufacturing this type of refrigerant. We can still buy it. It's just very, very expensive. And so when we have a major repair on an R22 system, we usually push really hard to not sink the money into it in case there's any other issues onto it, but we usually replace it. However, with this particular unit, it was a refrigerant called R410A, which also is beginning to be phased out, but we decided to repair this one instead of replace it. And the procedure for doing that was pretty much the same as replacing it. We still had to take it down. So we had to replace the TXV. Actually, I've got show and tell for you this week. So we had to replace the TXV, and this is the TXV. It's this thermostatic expansion valve. It's basically the metering device component in a refrigeration system. It basically, in a super basic way, lets through enough refrigerant, as much refrigerant as needed as in the evaporator. So there's this little sensing bulb that gets attached to the suction line on the other side of the evaporator. Anyway, so this guy was not functioning properly, and since we opened the system up, we also had to replace the filter dryer, which is this guy right here. So in order to access this guy, we had to take the lid off the top of the system, the unit, and where it's located in the ceiling space, there's only about 2 centimeters of clearance above it. So that's why we had to disconnect everything, lower the unit down. We ended up taking it outside to work on it. Brought it back, lifted it up, mounted it, reconnected everything, and then we're good to go. My brother and I spent one day together, Trevor and I. We took care of some HVAC maintenance at a really super fancy house that we work at. I always say this disclaimer in my Instagram videos where we don't work on residential because I don't really want to advertise that at all. We really want to advertise commercial and light industrial work. So I always say this, we don't do residential, but, and then anyway. So this house is super fancy and beautiful and nice. It's actually got 2 separate HVAC systems in it. I think there's like 4, 5, or 6 different zones in the house. but it's such a stunning property. We just did a spring/summer maintenance on their equipment. We also looked at this really little ice machine at a restaurant. It's actually almost as small as the under-counter one that I did at the condo last week, but this is an actual commercial ice machine. And this one works differently to the ones that I've mentioned ever before. So actually I'll show you. It's an isomatic ice machine, and this is how it works.
That's the evaporator. You know, like L plate?
Yeah.
So it shoots there, goes onto the plate up here. See in the bottom, there's little holes, cubes.
Yeah.
Above that big. Underneath, you'll see it.
Okay, yeah.
Go under.
Oh.
Like, put your... You're gonna have to get your...
Like under here?
Yeah. You'll see that. In there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the ice box.
Oh, crazy. And then that's just a curtain.
You could hurt me.
So we were there to repair this ice machine because it's got a little start button that just was unresponsive. Actually, I've got the old button here. It's just this little green push button. And it doesn't work. In fact, when we replaced this button, we found this one in the back completely wrecked, and we think that maybe it was either kicked or bumped by somebody, and they didn't really notice, because when we opened this, like, this was broken like this on the inside. Oh my gosh, yeah. Busted. The push button works now. Okay, this is the old one, so it doesn't work. But also, you guys, the grossest machine I've seen. Oh my god. So we gave it a thorough cleaning, and I don't know, my general policy is don't ever get ice when you go out, like to a restaurant or a shop or fast food, anywhere. If you can say no ice, rather don't get ice, because gross. We also got to work at a South African shop. It's a local shop here in Port Moody. It's called Africa Trading, and they actually make their own biltong there, and it's so nice. I saw the rack of biltong drying. And if you don't know what biltong is, it's like a jerky. It's a meat. I hate to say it, but it's a meat treat. It's delicious. It's a South African delicacy, I guess, but it's very comparable to jerky. Or even, he was saying prosciutto, like it's a cured meat. Anyway, so what we did there was replace the temperature controller, the digital temperature controller on his upright freezer, the reach-in display freezer. He's got some frozen products there. This is the old controller. It shows you a digital display, and you got a whole bunch of different programming situations. Yeah, so this guy wasn't working, so we replaced it. Unfortunately, these things are super expensive. They're a universal controller, so you can make it work for pretty much any unit that you have, and you just program certain parameters into it. And it'll alarm when the temperature is out of the parameters. Say it's too warm or too cold for too long, it'll alarm. It's very smart. But there you go. We had a look at the chiller for a big printing machine at a packaging factory that we work at. Their complaint was that the chiller was getting too cold. So we checked the glycol levels using our little refractometer. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But yeah, so it shows you the level of glycol. And when we looked through the little side glass, there is no glycol in it at all. So however, we didn't fix the mix at that time because we actually also found little floaties and stuff in the tank. So they're gonna flush it and clean it properly before we restore the water glycol mixture properly. So we'll maybe do that next week. But I'm still really intimidated by that machine. That's definitely my dad's baby. So I gotta learn from him pretty soon. We also had a complaint about an air conditioner leaking water. It wasn't leaking out of the ceiling or anything, but out of the actual A coil. And when I got there, oh my goodness, there's just water dripping. It was crazy. So I try to blow out the blockage in the condensate drain, which is so long. It comes out of the unit, goes down past the furnace, down through the floor into the first floor, across a whole long storage room, and then into a drain. And at no point is there any joins or unions or anywhere that I can actually get into the drain. So I try to flush it out, but that obviously didn't help because it was so long. So we ended up cutting it open and adding a union so that we can service it in the future. And we blasted it out with one of our little gallo guns. It's a little CO2 cartridge. And I don't know what we dislodged in there, but you guys, it reeked. It smelled so bad. We felt really bad, but at least we got through the blockage, and now we can service that drain going forward. Later in the week, we looked at another water source heat pump unit that wasn't working at all. And this time we just found a faulty blower motor. But you guys, again, like, I don't know who decides where these units go, but this one is almost against a wall. I have to put my A-frame ladder up against the wall, which is not ideal to begin with. So it's leaning against the wall, and then I have to turn around on the ladder to access this blower. Anyway, I got it out. Now, I just have to fight with it to get it. There we go. Oh, shit. Okay. But unfortunately, they don't have a replacement for us for another 7 to 10 days. So they're going to be without heating or cooling for the next week or so. And then we'll be back next week, or I guess even the week after, to install that fan motor. And because we were in the area, we visited our 11-door freezer from last week just to make sure that everything was running okay, and everything looks good. We're happy with that. I also had a chance this week to clear up our storage room. We collect all of the metal recycling from our jobs, motors, capacitors, dryers, and compressors. And so I took that all to the metal recycling. Whew, what a workout. Those compressors are freaking heavy. But I got her done. All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the HVAC Diaries HVAC vlog. Next week should be exciting. We have another one of those heat pumps to replace in the ceiling space. So there'll be a whole nother one of those. And who knows what else. I mean, I never know what's going to come up. So every day is an adventure. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you next time.